This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Take my breath away and make it last forever.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. FanDuel's got the game tonight at Celtics -7.5. Game 7, Celtics Heat. The Heat looking to avoid becoming the first team in NBA history to throw away a 3-0 lead. And I think it speaks to, like, maybe it's just my nature, but I get the impression, like, this is how kind of everyone's viewing this. It's like the Heat is what everyone's talking about, right? Like, how could you possibly do that? As opposed to the positive side of it is Boston's doing something no team's ever done before either. Right. And they're coming back from the dead, effectively.
Same as the Red Sox versus Yankees.
Right.
Like it wasn't about the unbelievable Red Sox who finally might get it done. It was like, are the Yankees serious doing this?
Right. It immediately goes to the choking element as opposed to the perseverance.
Well, did you expect anything different, Brian? No, I don't.
No.
Nobody could say, oh, wow, the Celtics they've shown heart and character. We love choking. Don't we?
What it is.
No, it's more fascinating. It's a better story.
Very seductive.
And we love it. And I'm not going to, I am not absolved from that because it's fascinating when you're like, what is going on here?
Wow.
Whether it's a golfer choke, a guy almost choked away a golf tournament yesterday.
Yeah.
It's more like John Vandevelde, man. Like that was.
It's captivating,
eye-popping.
guys.
It's not Paul
That's
Lowry.
What it is, though.
It's not Paul Lowry. It's Vandevelde.
People pay attention to the burning bus, not the beautiful baby. Everyone wants the beautiful
Paul
baby.
Lowry won the tournament, and he still never got love for it.
No. It's
Never.
Vandevelde puked.
He won the British Open, and he never got credit for it.
Right.
No, that's because people like to see the messes. We talk about it all the time. And like is the wrong word.
Like is not.
People
I don't
are
think
captivated.
It's like. Exactly. It's just it's more compelling. Like it is.
Right.
It's a drama, right? It becomes it's basically a nightmare for the team, and it becomes like such a darker, kind of more compelling, richer element talking about the team that couldn't get it done as opposed to the team that came back. But it should be equal billing, I guess is what I'm saying. And we have an opportunity to make it that. We're clearly not doing it, right? Like we have a show here where we could talk a lot about Boston, and they deserve a ton of credit. They could have easily packed up shop. You see what Marcus Smart said? I was reading an interview about him this morning. I guess they went to Topgolf in Miami when they were down 3-0. And just the boys, like just the team, and he said that's where it clicked. That's where the chemistry came alive. We all were talking up a big game. We all said we got to trust each other. We got to do it. And they hit Topgolf in Miami, and boom.
Oof, that was
run
a
off
late
3
night.
straight wins.
You know that was a late night. You
Had
go
to
to
be.
Topgolf. That's a team bonding moment.
Yes.
Now they got to finish it off, though. That's the thing.
That's right. Pressure's
Topgolf
on them
means
to do it
nothing if they don't finish it off. But I still think Jimmy Butler gets it done tonight.
Yeah, Butler would be listen. He's going to be a big part of it.
Blowout Celts. I told you, blowout if it goes back there.
I know, but it's not like Miami's going to fly up there and go, okay, yeah, they got it now. They've got all the momentum. There's going to
sometimes you revert back to what you are. They barely got in. They almost lost out in the play-in. They'll get dummy tonight, and as Denny Green said, they are what we thought they were.
Well, we'll see, because Jimmy Butler is the definition of a playoff performer. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach.
Acknowledged and accepted on both fronts.
Yes. Like, I don't think they fall flat tonight. I'd be surprised if Miami didn't show up. Now, even with that said, that doesn't mean Boston doesn't really show up, whatever that means, whatever that looks like.
Right.
That Garden's going to be rocking tonight, too. Right? Like, that building is going to be absolutely going crazy. But if there is a guy that you can point to in the playoffs that you think would quiet that, it's Jimmy Butler. Butler's that guy. Yet that's the amazing thing.
Jason Tatum could also put up a 50-piece.
Of course he could. Last time he was in a Game 7, that's precisely what he did. First guy, I believe, in NBA history to put up a 50 spot in a Game 7. So it's right there in front of him, right? Jaylen Brown, you go down the list, Marcus Smart. There's a lot of reasons why you can look to Boston and the momentum and them being at home. But
I'll take an OT tonight. That would be kind of cool. Like, buzzer beater and OT, same like we saw the other night. Like something like that. Mm-hmm. That's great theater because this series could have been an absolute joke if it was a sweep or something like that.
And it
right?
was leaning in that direction. Denver swept the Lakers, and everyone thought, all right, here we go. Now Denver's doing what the Panthers are doing, just sitting around waiting. Don't know who they're going to play. Different styles, different systems, different sked. And they got to sit and wait. They'll find out tonight. And obviously, Nick Nurse, as we announced in the last hour, he has been hired as the head coach in Philly. He'll be sitting there watching. These are two big boys in the East, two teams he's very familiar with, though. He's staying in the East. He's staying in the same division, right? So it's a lifestyle change for him. He's going to a better team than the one he just coached. But we'll see if we can get Nick on. And then just, we'll see what his ties are to the city moving forward. He's been here a long time. He won a championship. He's always going to be a legend here. But you go to Philly and team up with Joel Embiid, that's a different beast.
I know, but what if he came on our show, was like, I always hated you guys, so I'm just glad I'm out of here. Like, what if he just took some parting shots now that he's gone, played like the heel?
Wouldn't that be amazing? Awesome. I hate it coming on. It sucked every time. I'm not answering any questions. I'm just coming on to say that, and I'm leaving. Mike Jordan.
Yeah.
Maybe our next guest will do that. I can't imagine he'd be in anything but a good mood, though. Right?
Exactly.
Got to be in a great mood. He's a gold medal winner. He's a gold medalist. And Canada going over there. And I don't think it's ever shocking the world when Canada wins a hockey tournament. It never should be. But, everyone was saying the Americans. Watch out for them. Finland, Sweden. Canada goes over there and wins a gold. And joining us down the Maple Toyota hotline here is longtime NHLer and, again, Canadian gold medalist Milan Lucic. Milan, congrats, man. How you feeling today?
Good. Thank you, guys. Honestly, it was a quick turnaround. They had us on a 6 a.m. flight out of Helsinki. So, it's been a long travel day, but you know what? It's been a whirlwind. It's been awesome. Just everything went awesome. Everything went, according to plan. So it was so much fun to be a part of.
Milan, you just heard Hayes teeing it up, talking about maybe you guys weren't the favorite coming in. Did you guys play the underdog card in the dressing room? Did you guys talk about it, or you just said, according to plan, did you just go out there and play?
To be honest, we didn't really say anything about it or talk about it until I think it was before the Finland game. One of the reporters in Finland said to Toffoli, how do you guys feel with this being one of the worst, this probably being the worst Canadian roster ever put in the World Championship. And, we never really, we were kind of like, oh, okay. And I think Tyler's response was, well, we're all still NHLers. So, we're going to be pretty good. And, from the get-go, from when we met in Budapest, there was never really talk of us being underdogs or anything like that. We just kind of talked about just coming together and playing, Team Canada hockey, playing the Canada way and all that type of stuff. So, you know what? It was a really good group. Everyone came together. And you know what? What was the impressive thing was, we got better as a team, every single game, especially after we lost that Norway game. I felt like our game got better and better and better as the tournament went on. So, like you guys said, there wasn't really a big name or a superstar on our team, even though, Tyler Toffoli had a career year with 73 points, which, I mean, that's a pretty big year. I don't care who you are, but you know what I'm saying? There wasn't there wasn't a huge name like there was in the past, but we played a great team game and we came up champions.
Luch, it's a dangerous game setting a 6 a.m. flight after a gold medal in Europe. Me and Noodles and Brian have been around the block before. You got to come clean and tell us how many guys missed that flight.
Well, you know what? No one missed the flight because it's a 2-hour bus ride from Tampere to Helsinki. So we were all still partying in the hotel, and they basically said bus in 10. So we had a 2:15 bus. So everyone was still up, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess we'll just go grab our bags and jump on the bus and keep drinking on the bus. So that's how it all went down.
So so what you're saying is they basically poured the bus onto the plane.
Correct. That's exactly what happened.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is man. Like Europe, you could have been anywhere. Like I wouldn't
like
be
Hayes,
shocked.
if it was 6:00 flight at the you got to find your way to the airport. There's 30% of the team not making it.
I would think guys are scattered. Half the team's in Amsterdam already. Guys are in Paris.
I'd say minimum 30.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you made it because then you could join us. I mean, who knows where you'd be if you missed it with Milan Lucic, who just won gold for Canada at the World Championships. And, the crowds are wild over there. The rinks, they're a good size. It doesn't look like an NHL rink, but they're packed, and those European fans are going crazy. The Latvian fans are going crazy. What was that experience like? You've been in the NHL so long. You've played in every barn over here. You know what all the fans are like. How would you compare and contrast, an NHL game and the vibe and the rink compared to what you just experienced in Europe?
You know what? It's awesome. It's hard to explain unless you experience it. What was pretty cool, our exhibition game was in Budapest, and we played in their brand new handball arena that held 14,000 people, and so that was pretty cool. And there's just something different when it comes to that national cheering. When a team's cheering for their nation, especially out in Europe. It's like, well, I mean, I shouldn't say out in Europe. I mean, when there's international events here in Canada, you see in the World Juniors and all that type of stuff how crazy the Canadian fans get. But you know what? It was pretty awesome. Like you guys said, I think the Latvian rink held 9,600, and it was pretty cool. The first game that we played was against Latvia, and they're chanting Latvia and all that type of stuff. And to be honest, I would say the most impressive fans that we probably wouldn't think that would have been the rowdiest and had the most turnout was the Swiss fans. The Swiss fans actually had the biggest turnout, and they had the biggest crowds as far as all the countries that we played. And yeah, they just cheer differently. They don't boo, they whistle. Their way of booing is whistling. They think a penalty is not what we know as a penalty, so the fans whistle.
Did you crush anyone and knock them into next week, and the ref was just awestruck and just put up his arm and said, I cannot let you get away with that?
To be honest, I didn't because I was told, even Zadorov told me before I went over that he got a 5-minute penalty for hitting a guy too hard. So I was just kind of going stick on puck and then, just rubbing guys out because of that. But yeah, you know what? That was, for me, like I said, it was the first time for me being a part of an international event. So to experience that, in 2 different countries or 3 different countries was pretty awesome. And you know what? I didn't really know what to expect going into a place like Riga. And I got to say, even all my family and friends that came over, I had 14 people come over. We really love the city, really underrated city. You wouldn't really think of that being a place to go and visit. I got to say, all the restaurants were great. The hotels were great. The people were great. Everything that they had to offer was awesome. And I speak for everyone on the team that that we had a really good time in Riga, that's for sure.
Luch, there wasn't a ton of household names of guys that went with you. Obviously, Uyghur went with you to Foley, but what about the kid Fantilli? I mean, he's a kid that's on a lot of people's radar as getting drafted, an up-and-coming player. What did you think of him playing alongside of him?
Yeah, obviously a young talent. You can see why he's projected to go top 3 pick in this year's draft. He's got, a great skill set. Obviously, he shoots really well, skates really well, has great vision. Being an 18-year-old playing with men for the first time, it's a little bit. You could see it. I think he was a little bit nervous at times, but he did get 1 goal in the tournament, and it ended up being the game winner in the semifinals, and it was probably the goal of the tournament. But like I said, you could see all the little things that he has that's going to make him a great NHLer, and it was pretty cool to experience a tournament with a guy like him and be his line mate.
We're chatting with Milan Lucic, who just won gold for Canada. And obviously you got a big summer coming up. You're a UFA, coming off a long-term contract, and I'm obviously not sure if you would know what your plans are moving forward. You got to talk to teams, but what's the July 1st plan? It'd be the first time in a long time you've been in this situation again.
Yeah, it's, like you said, I'm coming off a long-term contract, so I've only been a part of free agency once in my career, so this is the second go for me. And obviously, my plan is to continue playing. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to go to the World Championships too, is I wanted to still play and, experience something new. And I think, now, I have a month here to kind of see, who's interested, what's going to be the best situation for me. There's a lot of things that go into it. So, for myself, I think right now is just enjoy, this past month that I had with Team Canada in the World Championships. And then, after maybe a week here, start thinking about, what the next step is moving forward. Obviously, you can't talk to teams, so you won't really know who's interested, but, you obviously look at teams and situations and places you want to go.
Well, good luck with that process. Congrats on what was a really cool trip and obviously a really successful one. You guys are winning gold, and we really appreciate you finding time for us. Thank you for doing this.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
You got it. There he is, Milan Lucic, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Build your next dream Toyota at Maple Toyota. Check out Maple Toyota's pre-owned inventory arriving daily. It's time to Toyota. Visit mapletoyota.com. Love to be a fly on the wall with some guy in Latvia or Finland when they're looking. They're like, Lucic is playing for these guys. Like, can you imagine how terrified some of those guys would be in a scrum? Like how quickly it would have ended when Luch came in and just said, "What are we talking about here? What's going on?"
Like, no physicality in those games, though, no. not that much. But, I mean, a guy like that who has played 1,100 games in the league, like it's not like he's kind of hovered around the NHL. He went in as a young kid, won a cup. Like he's, one of the toughest, known pound for pound as one of the toughest guys in the league, period. Like him and Brian Reeves, who else would be in that conversation?
Yeah, there's three or four guys.
Three or four.
He's one of them. Yeah, and UFA this summer, like it'll be interesting. He'll have options for sure. Like he's not going to get another 7-year deal. I think he understands that. He's getting up there in age, but he's still an effective guy, and he's someone that I think teams like they're dying for that type of ingredient. Like someone like that who's like Canada's like, will you come over? And I'm sure he played a huge role in terms of just leadership and being a guy that can lean on. Yeah. And he's going to keep going, and I'm curious to see what kind of teams are going to be on the short list, because there will be a number of teams that offer him a job. There is no question with that.
Yeah.
So thanks again to Milan Lucic.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to make $5 million. It could,
and he might not play every night either. But somebody might want him around to say this is how the lay of the land's going to be.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. He'll get deals, he'll get offers, and it won't be a massive amount of money, but it'll be a good deal, and someone will be happy to bring him in for sure. So, we'll see. Maybe the Leafs kick some tires, and it's possible.
Well, they need a manager.
They need a GM first, I guess, before they make a decision on that. But not the case so far, anyway. All right, so thanks to Milan. We got Leo Routen's coming up just after 6 o'clock. Game 7 tonight, Heat Celtics, and Nick Nurse is on his way to Philly. Saw Fred VanVleet just tweeted out, basically, thanks for everything. More of an emoji tweet. Kind of tough to interpret, but I think he and Nick were on the same page. Like, Nurse was his head coach, playing him a lot of minutes in the NBA Finals in 19. That made his career, really. Like, that was a big part of Fred VanVleet kind of making himself known throughout the NBA. And, yeah, I mean, listen, the Raptors fired him. So I got no issue with him going wherever he wants to go, clearly. And not that he's calling us and being like, are you guys okay with it? But it's such a big rival in Philly, and that's where he's going. This would be like Dubas showing up in Ottawa or something. You know, like,
well, there's talks of that, isn't there, though?
There's always rumors, you know, what if the new owners in Ottawa go a separate way? And apparently Kyle grew up a Sens fan. And
the rumors I just can't take. I hear rumors that are just – now the rumors are potential trades that could have happened, but somebody stopped it or one guy. It's just it's insane what people come up with.
Honestly, guys, I feel like it's almost like there's some political, like, you're on Team Shanny, Team Dubas, and there's, like, disinformation. Like, you know how, like, in politics, like, it was – you know, Trudeau, or who was the guy that Trudeau beat this last time, or didn't, you know, whatever. I can't remember the guy's name, but or Trump and Biden. There's disinformation. It's almost like being leaked out there. You never know what's true. Because I heard this, I heard that.
If you support Shanny, then Dubas blocked a trade that could have got you, you know, Jack Eichel. Like an outrageous name. And then it's like, if you support Shanny and you don't like Dubas, then Dubas blocked a trade that you could have got the best defenseman in the league. It's nonsense. It's crazy.
I saw one that was, Dubas tried to trade for Tage Thompson for a 5th rounder, and and Shanny blocked that one. Okay, like, it just
sure.
Stop it. Like, it just, you never know what it is.
And it's going both ways too, right? To be fair, that
both ways.
And that's
exactly.
what it is. You know,
no disrespect.
No disrespect. Both ways. If this guy wanted that or that guy wanted this, and who knows what is actually happening. What is interesting to me is that nothing ever got out of this team, ever. And now the Rats are running freely. You know, now all of a sudden there appears to be information. Again, how much of it is true or not, I guess, is a different story. But it was Fort Knox for a long time. Nothing gets out. You know, they weren't even comfortable with the idea of people knowing who was interviewing for the job, which seems ridiculous, right? But it seems like they're still trying to keep that behind closed doors. You know, everyone knows that we believe they've interviewed Tree Living, and they've interviewed some other guys, maybe via Zoom, face-to-face, who knows. But
I mean,
how's that getting out? Is it Shanahan still not allowing things to get out? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Do you feel like this week something will get announced? Like, what's your gut feeling? Is it probably this week?
I would think by the beginning of June you'd want that for sure, because then you got a month.
Not want, need, have to have it.
Need, because you're going to get to the draft and everything's happening. There's a 2 or 3 week sequence where everything happens in the end. That's where the GM makes their money. Right. That's where the GM and the plan that's executed is executed, right? Whether it's the GM, the president, the scouts, whatever, everyone's got to come together, and you got to really put your team together over like 3 weeks. And if you're not ready, fine. But the other 31 teams will be, and they're playing. They're playing the game. They're making trades. Exactly. They're signing guys. So the Leafs have, I would say they have 2 weeks to not only hire someone, they have 2 weeks to come up with a full game plan for what they want to do next year, the year after that, the year after that, like just across the board. Matthews is going to be a part of that. Willie's going to be a part of it. But you got to find out if you're making trades, who you're signing.
I mean, the simple
what you
stuff
do with
is
your coach.
Right, coaching, who's stopping pucks for you next year. Like I looked at this. I don't know how you guys feel. We can get into this later. But, Matt Murray would be a candidate for a buyout. And if you look on Cap Friendly, the buyout cost for Matt Murray, it's 2 years. The first year is like $675,000 that counts against the cap. And then the next year it's $2 million. And you're hoping that the cap goes up. But that's if you buy Matt Murray out instead of trying to package him up on a trade and giving a draft pick away, It only, it costs you less than a player next year. Now, I don't know how much money you got to play with, but
that's the thing. I can't believe they're back in this situation.
Well,
I don't even get me started on that one. Like that one,
it's Mrazek all over again. It's Patrick Marleau.
Mrazek.
Well,
yeah, Mrazek.
Did they package him up?
No, it's not Mrazek because this guy couldn't stay healthy for more than 7 hours at a time, and he just had to. Forget it. I'm not doing it.
But it's not about the context of the player or the situation. I'm saying it's a goalie whose contract is not going to work for you.
Right.
That's what it is, and that's what happened and that was Dubas, right?
Yeah.
Dubas brought in Mrazek, gave him 3 years. After a year, to his credit, realized mistake, got to move on, and they did, and they had to pay a price for that. The same thing would have to apply here, right?
Yeah.
And
you got to get Samsonov on a contract. He's in RFA.
Right.
If he's your guy moving forward.
Why does he have to be the guy?
I'm just saying if he is. Because I don't know. But if you believe that you want a tandem of Samsonov and Joseph Woll, you still got to bring in somebody else to be a 3, worst case scenario, or have a healthy competition there. If you believe you're going to move on from Matt Murray. But as of right now, they've got a 3-pack, and one guy's got 1 year left on his deal. That's Matt Murray. Joseph Woll needs waivers to go down next year, so I don't think that's a situation. And then Samsonov is an RFA, so you've got to sign him. And what number does he want? Does he want starting money? Does he want, mid-level money? Like, I don't know what that looks like. You have to look at comparables throughout the league.
Right.
And by all accounts, the comparables, Pittsburgh doesn't have a general manager. Tristan Jarry is going to be unrestricted July 1st. They got to sort that out pretty quick. You're going to keep the goaltender or move on from him. Mm-hmm. Like, there's lots of decisions to be made. That's why I agree. I think the manager's got to be in place this week. And he can hit the ground running,
and then working. You got to have your plan, and it's got to be ready to rock.
Ready to go.
Yeah,
exactly.
Ready to rock. Leo Routen's coming up in just over half an hour. Our boy Carlo Koliakovo coming up as well. Had a Game 6 tonight. Stars, Vegas Golden Knights. Dallas is still alive. Jamie Benn back in the lineup. So we'll get into that more still to come. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Something to chew on, brought to you by Boston Pizza. This summer, whether you're in Moose Jaw or Moncton, there's a BP patio near you. Join us for a long lunch or a late night and see you for a pint on the patio soon. We figured we'd go with what we talked about last hour. Spontaneously, it came up. Obviously, the city's still buzzing about the GM pursuit for the Leafs, the coaching pursuit for the Raptors, but that's a completely different story. We've been asking people on Twitter, at Overdrive 1050. This poll's been up for an hour. As a Leaf fan, which of the following would be more offensive to you? Offensive. Like repulsive. Really makes you turn on the organization. Bryan Hayes interviewing for the GM job, or Jeff O'Neill interviewing for the GM job. And I am personally insulted by this because I am leading about 60-40. The vote is about 60-40, which means...
Of that being more offensive.
Yes, me interviewing would be more offensive. But you're still coming in at 40%, and you played in the league, and you played for the team. So there might be a win there for me if it's close. Like, it should be you, But I think I do a pretty good job in there. I do.
You're hanging in there. I will say that.
I'm staying alive.
No disrespect to both of you.
No disrespect.
I love that.
We got to play the Bruce Cassidy again. It's my favorite clip ever. Like, how many times have I said this on the show? When the Leafs play poorly, I'm like, they couldn't beat Arizona on a Tuesday in January playing like that. Like, that's the material we bring to the table. And we're talking heads. We're of course going to go a little bit over the top. Let's replay it. We have to because it's a new audience.
Please.
Bruce Cassidy, head coach of the Golden Knights, Game 6 tonight. He wasn't happy with his team the other night. He wasn't happy with how many turnovers they had, a lot of self-inflicted wounds. And to put it into perspective, shrapnel directed towards the Arizona Coyotes.
We had 24 giveaways. I'm not sure you're beating the Arizona Coyotes in January with 24 giveaways. No disrespect to Arizona, but it's not the right way to play. 24 giveaways. I mean, we're trying to go to the Stanley Cup final against a desperate team. We gave, and so to me, that's the whole game right there.
I think he was trying,
comment.
guys. I think he was trying to think of a team in his division that didn't qualify for the playoffs. He wasn't throwing shade at the Arizona Coyotes.
He
no,
was.
no, he wasn't. He was just trying to. He was trying to say, it's a Tuesday night in like February or whatever against Arizona. You're not winning because that's too many given.
Oh,
that's
really?
not shade at Arizona.
No, you don't think so? Funny he didn't say Edmonton. He didn't say the Boston Bruins. Couldn't beat the Bruins. It had to be the biggest doormat of a team in the National Hockey League. That's
no
where
disrespect
he had to
to
go.
Arizona, but
No disrespect to Arizona.
I think he just caught himself. That's
He
what it
knew
is.
exactly
It's a
what he was
candid
doing.
moment where you're looking for a team that's near the bottom. And they're going on a Tuesday night in January or whatever.
Yeah.
Arizona comes to mind.
You're
and
just
then he
happy
caught
because
himself.
all the other dumpster fires, and there was a lot way worse than Arizona, by the way, and he didn't name them.
Who's a bigger dumpster fire?
Anaheim.
Well, no, Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus were all at the bottom. They were trying to tank. This is rebuild situation.
Okay.
Same with Arizona. Arizona's rebuilding. Like there's no
I don't
doubt
think
about
Arizona
that.
even tanked properly this year. They won way more than they were supposed
Well,
to.
they went on a heater.
had
They
a
won
heater
7
run.
games in a row.
Actually,
at
probably
one
in
point.
January, funny enough.
Right.
So he's probably right. They could not have beaten Arizona
Right.
in January. Listen, if he pulled any of those other teams, it would still apply. The fact is, he was reaching for a team he thinks is terrible, and he was disrespecting them as much as he possibly could, but then stopped himself with a no disrespect. No disrespect to Arizona.
I agree.
It couldn't be more disrespectful, and that's why I appreciate it. Bruce Cassidy is just like everyone else. He
Your
knows
guy.
what's up.
there's no disrespect to Arizona, but
Yeah, come on. No disrespect.
we're going to use that soundbite
Nonstop.
forever.
Nonstop.
Ever.
But it could have been Chicago. It could have been Columbus. It could have been Anaheim.
Right.
The fact of the matter is he absolutely bodied that team and then tried to save it by saying,
But
no,
no disrespect to Arizona. But
here's the other thing that goes with those teams' bottoming out is that Arizona was playing in a university. That's kind of what comes
Right.
with that too. And now, they're still looking for a place to build a rink. So they've got to sort that out
Yeah.
in
That's
somewhat
an
short
issue.
time. Do you not? I mean, they've got, they're committed to playing at the university for the next 2 years, I believe. But they got to sort out a rink.
That's
where
what's
they're going
amazing.
next.
You look at the Oakland Athletics, and we've been talking a lot about them. They've already lost 45 games.
Right.
It's May. They've lost 45 times. They have a run differential of minus 199. They have a future plan. That
Yes.
team knows where they're going. What's amazing is that Vegas was scooped up 6 years ago, or more than that now, and that's not an option anymore. The NHL really broke the ground there, right? Like they opened up everything for the other teams to come pouring in. The NFL came in, Major League Baseball is going, and it's a foregone conclusion. The NBA is going to expand to Vegas.
Right.
Like they're going. Where it was not long ago where that was a complete faux pas. Like you don't even reference Vegas.
Why?
No
Because
one's
of the
going
gambling
there.
and the pro
Gambling.
sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
gambling, and the previous commissioners, well, Bettman was a part of it. He's changed his tune. But David Stern was adamant. Like baseball has the black cloud of gambling hanging over it with Pete Rose and the White Sox. That they just were completely adverse to it. Were not willing to even think twice about it, and now they're all going to go. And 2 of them are already there, the NHL and the NFL. Already there.
Didn't you hit a nerve, though, with Bill Daly? Wasn't it just you and I, or was that the 3 of us? Remember you were asking about gambling and
I think it was
you
Bettman.
doubled.
I think it was Gary.
Was it
It
Gary
was
that you
him
doubled?
or
I thought it was
Bettman I
Daly.
doubled down on for sure. I think Bill I brought up multiple times too. But I think Gary, it was like you were always adamant, no gambling, and now you're cool with it. What changed?
Right.
Which I think is a completely reasonable question.
of course it is.
Yeah, and he didn't even follow it up with no disrespect. You just
No.
doubled down on it.
It was very respectful. I think it was phrased very respectfully.
But I think a lot of these leagues knew that money was going to be there. They just didn't want to be first. They didn't want to be first in the pool. That's really what it was. And you're right, the NHL
Credit the
went to
NHL.
Vegas. Yeah.
Credit Bettman in the end. Regardless of how he
Exactly.
felt and everything, he was like, all right, we're going. We're
Yeah.
going in. And it worked out. It has worked out beautifully for them. And, you get the football team. You see the report over the weekend about Jimmy Garoppolo that I guess his foot is mangled still, or potentially could be. And they had to rework his contract to put a clause in there where if he can't play because of it, that, the Raiders aren't going to be on the hook. It sounds like it could be a gong show.
That's not good.
Not good for Mark Davis and everyone running the show down in Vegas. But what it's opened the door to is the new owner possibly stepping in at quarterback. Maybe old Tom Brady steps in.
Think Tommy B's rolling in there as owner/quarterback?
Maybe.
Could you imagine?
Maybe. It's happened. Maybe he pulls a, Jackie Moon, Will Ferrell in semi-pro. Part owner, part player. He goes out there and takes care of business.
I just don't see it happening.
Sell
Reg
tickets.
Dunlop. I love it.
Could sell tickets for sure.
I would love it.
I don't see it happening either. But Jimmy G, he's done. Well, he's not done. I mean, he very well could play. But the fact that that's leaking out, that they were concerned about his foot to the point where he didn't pass a physical, he had to sign a waiver, that is not a good start. Not a good start to a new team, right?
Yikes. That's terrible. Like if you have to change your contract because of a body part, it doesn't matter. Like now, he's screwed. Because if he gets if it acts up 6 games in, like if he toughs it out, like now you're almost at a disadvantage as the player. But now he's got to have to fight through it somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah, and he very well could, right? He very well could. But it does sound like it could be career-threatening. It could be a real issue for mobility throughout the rest of his life, if something happens. And the Raiders are going to try to protect themselves from that. Leo Routen's coming up in about 25 minutes on Game 7 tonight, Heat Celtics, and Nick Nurse on his way to the Philadelphia 76ers. What does Leo make of that? How can Nick maybe change the fortunes of what's been going on down there in Philly? What's he hearing on the Raptors situation? Sounds like Steve Nash is still kind of in the running, until someone else steps in and is locked in on the gig. I guess Steve is still kicking around. We'll see what Leo can tell us about that and if he'd be okay with Steve Nash possibly taking over the reins up here in Toronto. So we'll get into that. Game 6, Dallas-Vegas tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Leo Routen's in about 20 minutes on Nick Nurse taking the job down in Philly. What does he see happening up here in Toronto in Game 7 tonight between the Heat and the Celtics? Game 6 tonight between the Stars and the Golden Knights. And Overdrive PGA Picks brought to you by 20 Weeks of TaylorMade, the Golf Talk Canada Fantasy Golf Pool. Neither of us had Emiliano Grillo winning this tournament.
I could not believe, and I never understand it. Shortish par 4 by tour standards, he's got a pull driver.
I know.
If I'm the caddy, I throw a 4-iron on the tee and I walk away. Say, dude, hit a 4-iron, an 8-iron, and 2 putt, and we're winners. He had to pull the driver. I don't understand it.
Well, he went on to win the tournament, which is incredible. But I believe he was one of only 2 guys to put it in the water on 18 all week.
The other guy was Harry Carey or whatever his name was.
Harry Hall, who did not have himself a good day. Harry Carey Hall. So, yeah, Grillo ends up winning it. What's amazing, because everything comes back to, like, the bigger name players, is there's Scheffler T3 again. Like, every time this guy tees it up, he's in contention. Dude. It's wild. And
it's a credit to Scotty Scheffler that he was T3 and he was putting blindfolded.
Yeah, he was terrible. Terrible on the green.
Dude, he couldn't make a putt over 3 feet long. And he finished T3.
Yeah. It's wild.
The guy hits it like a god.
What type of money would he make for a T3?
$700,000?
Yeah, fair amount.
Like that just gets lost in the shuffle, eh? Like
totally. He's made so much money already this year.
Oh my God. Him and John Rahm are just banking coin. Banking coin.
They're going to break records this year. The two of them are going to be 20 million plus for sure. Yeah.
Do you remember Tiger's massive years where it would be like $4 million in earnings?
Yeah.
John Rahm had $14 million in his back pocket before March was over.
Yeah, before he got to the Masters, I think he was close to that kind of money.
Yes.
And he won the Masters. So he pocketed another $3 million, whatever it was. It's wild, the amount of money these guys are making. But now the Colonial's out of the way. You got the Memorial this week, which will be massive. then it's go time, right? The RBC Canadian Open at Oakdale. We're going to be there all week. First Up is going to be there all week. It's going to be awesome. And like Justin Rose is coming back up. Remember he shot 60 last year, and he was on 59 watch on 18 at St. George's. I think he bogeyed or doubled 18.
Yeah, he did. He hit a garbage driver a little bit right, and then he just butchered it from there.
Yeah, he did.
Let's hope our buddy the block party's getting some nice rest and reps in so that he can be on fire when he
block party. He needs to fly up and test the course out quickly.
Yeah. Sunday morning, I drove to Hamilton, saw my coach. Didn't see you on the range. Didn't see Duthie either.
Oh, yeah. Why would I randomly be on the range in Hamilton on Sunday morning? Explain that to me.
Didn't see Duthie, too. Is he a member there?
No, I just say, I tell you guys all the time, he's
Ray.
one of the best teachers in Canada, and he's right there. Like, you just call him and say, I need to come see you for a little tune-up. You guys just continue to go out, and all you want to do is go from your car to the first hole, and you do the same stuff all the time, and then you complain about, this, that. Got to go see the coach.
Well, I'll do my best. Yeah, one of these days I'll make sure to get out there randomly on a Sunday morning. I'll make my way out. I'm sure. I don't even know where he'd start. That's the problem. He might look at me and say, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah, dude, that's what you don't understand. You got to get like I feel like I'm coaching you to get the nerve up to go see a therapist or something, and that's basically what happens. He'll watch you hit balls for 10 minutes, and then he'll say, okay, grab that stick, align it here. He'll show you video of what you're doing and say, if you just do this, that doesn't happen. My lesson was 30 minutes long tops. Okay. I was hitting just butter pure shots. And he's
Did you get to play the course after?
What?
Did you play the course?
No, this is about getting better. It's not about play. That's all you want to do is play.
That would suck. Why do you drive all the way out there for half an hour? You don't even get to play? No. Not happening.
I love it. That's a man just trying to get better at his
grinding.
game.
Just absolutely
but you know what?
grinding.
Make sure to let everybody know too. Like Sunday morning, I was right up and with training with my trainer.
Yeah.
You were, laying in a hotel bed.
I was at the Grappler's wedding tonight. So I'll tell you what I was doing. I was sleeping.
Sweating out some booze from the Grappler's wedding.
That's exactly what I was doing. Exactly. I was trying to keep up with Al's brother.
Hey, it's up. If you ever want to go, I'll take you out there.
All right, accepted. I will make that happen someday, but I don't want you chiming in on top of the coach. That's what will be bothering me. Is you're gonna feel like you got to get your P's and Q's in too, and I don't.
I'm not gonna. I don't care what you do. I don't care at all. A Saturday night, you put the kids to bed. You could come and sleep over. We'll get up in the morning, and I'll take you out there, and I'll pay for it. Okay, that's
really?
what I'll do for you.
Wow. Okay, hook it up. Let's try to get out and play around afterwards. That'd be great.
He would accommodate that if he can.
All right. Well, that's that. Now we're talking. All right.
I just love how the round has to be included.
Well, it's a big commitment to go out there. There's. Yeah. Listen, I'm sure the guy's awesome. I saw you look. The swing looks good. It looks very good. PGA Picks Weekly. Make PGA Picks Weekly for your chance to win the 20 weeks of TaylorMade Fantasy Golf Pool. Over $40,000 in TaylorMade product plus a trip to Casa de Campo Golf Resort. Enter now at golftalkcanada.com. You'd probably take that trip, go down there and just practice. I'd want to go down there and actually play. Right?
Dude, I'm not a practice freak, but when I got something going on, I needed just an adjustment. It was an alignment adjustment. It's big help.
It's like a chiropractor for your game. Is that what it is?
Thank you
little
very
adjustment
much.
Here.
And this guy's one of the world's best, so why not?
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. There you go. Shut up. We'll make it happen. We will make it happen. We got to get into the Aaron Rodgers stuff. He was at the Taylor Swift concert over the weekend. You see Rodgers, just in the zone. Like he was saying beforehand at OTAs. I love how now he's at all the OTAs at the minicamp. He's Mr. Jet, and I can't wait to get in there and help everyone. Green Bay, the last 2 or 3 years, you couldn't find this guy. He was in a hobbit hole in Oregon, but now all of a sudden he lives in New York, and it's all good. But he was legitimately feeling it at Taylor Swift.
I would be doing the same thing.
Everything I hear is is second to none right now. It is phenomenal. And there he is. Look at him. That's VIP too, man. He's that's where he's playing. That's, what is it, Jet Life Field or whatever it is in New York?
MetLife.
Yeah. MetLife Field in Jersey. That's going to be the home of Aaron Rodgers. And he was rocking out to Taylor Swift. I got to give him credit. He wasn't posing, man. He said it. He was listing off his favorite tracks, albums. Showed up and put it on the line for Taylor Swift.
I'll tell you, he's living life there. Like, he's enjoying the New York scene. Like, he's been everywhere, this guy, and he's not shy with the camera.
No.
He's letting people know he's there.
He sure is. He's putting his stake in the ground. He's I'm not seeing Danny Dimes getting cruising around. Danny Dimes isn't showing up at the Garden,
Wait till he
game.
stinks the joint out game one like he likes to do every year. Then we'll see the smile on it.
Notorious.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Garbage.
Yep.
New Orleans and Minnesota, garbage. So we'll see what happens after that.
You're right. He goes on the radio in New York and spells out relax. They'll flush him. They'll say, not relax. You better figure your life out here. But listen, New York is New York. I don't blame him. The guy's been in Green Bay. Like Taylor Swift that doesn't even go to Wisconsin. I'm not even sure she's in the Midwest. It's go time for him in New York. He's living life. Final hour coming up. Leo Routens will join us. His take on Nick Nurse taking the gig down in Philly. Who does he see winning tonight? Who is the pressure on, Miami or Boston? And we got Carlo coming up as well, teeing up Game 6 tonight, and get into a number of things throughout the NHL, including what he's hearing from a Leaf perspective as the pursuit of a new GM continues. Final hour up next. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.